Hey, welcome to episode 6. I took a little break to get the Android 11 fixed basically. When Android 11 came out, I broke my app. That's the last thing you want to hear as an app maker is like, the new OS broke your app. A very sad day. But now, we're all fixed, and all the Android 11 people are very happy. So, very cool. We're running at about a 20-second delay, so what I'm saying to you right now is actually happening already like 20 seconds ago, and you're in the past, or I'm in the future. I don't know which. So, hang with me there if I have questions for you. Yeah, so where'd we leave off? Let's get Chess Openings Wizard up and find out what we're doing. First of all, well, I can run over the tenets, the slides that I have, that I make myself go through every day. So we are in the chess preparation business, so I want to remind everybody that every position we prepare is going to be way better than any position we analyze over the board. And that's why we're here. We want to win this game in advance if we can. The mission of this challenge, of course, is to expand the number of positions that you know. And I mean know, not just memorize. And we'll talk about that more later. So, why are we doing this? Well, the secret to understanding is to type into each position's comment, no matter how you're keeping it. In our case, probably Chess Openings Wizard if you're here. You want to type in why you chose the move. Even if you're puzzled as to why you're choosing the move, write that in, be honest. And in order to have some ability to recall it, type in something emotionally intense. That is going to trigger your memory more than just looking at the position willy-nilly. So let's get to Chess Openings Wizard. Here we are. Where'd we leave off? So let me flip over to my screen so I can see what's going on. Let's zoom on to the next branch. So I'm going to use that double forward arrow here to fast forward to the first branch point, which is that repetition of position. So he could play rook a1, hit the queen. Our best is to play queen b2, get out of the way. And he plays rook b1 and hits us again, queen a2. So let's go back to that branch point. Go back, because this will show us a red T here as a transposition, because it's a repetition of position. And then we delved a little bit into the line where white goes ahead and traps the queen with the move queen c1. And we're not afraid of that because we're already a pawn up. And the first thing we do is nibble off a piece, a b5. And then when he plays rook a1, the queen is totally trapped. Then we nibble off the rook with the queen. So now, after queen takes back, we have a piece, a pawn, and a rook for the queen. And a slightly more interesting position as black. One that's easier to play in anyway, if you know the moves. Now here's one of those places where we're happy to see the author's recommendation of e5. So we stick e5 in there, and sure enough, that makes it really hard for white to play the game. Most players are going to try to take on e5 with the bishop, and then we decided we're going to play c4, gumming up the works on the queen side there, and pushing hard on the a3 pawn. So at this point, most white players are going to take on b8. Bishop takes b8. Now it looks like, again, this is one of those hard to find moves. It looks like just rook takes b8 is probably the way to go here, but actually we can get more oomph from our attack if we take back on a3. So we do that. The engines also agree with this. The engines, as we looked in the last episode, like to come up and check with the bishop and back off and get the bishop here and then here, but it all transposes because after queen b2, we're going to do the bishop check anyway. At this point, the king can't slide on over because the knight's going to come in there and check, and it's going to be ugly. So king e2, trying to get away. In the variations that we're going to look at tomorrow, he slinks off to f3, trying to keep going. Now, I told you this would be hard for white to play and easier for black to play. This attack almost plays itself. So now rook a2, what a clever move. There's no way the queen can touch that because the queen would be lost to the knight fork. So that's where we leave off. And now we come to our hymnals. Show you really quick. So, I'm of course not trying to sell you any particular ebook that I have, although I love our ebooks and you probably would do well to buy one, but in this case I'm using old school techniques. Kaufman's new repertoire for black and white. It's the new one. He wrote an old one years ago, which is excellent. This new one, all new material, expanded and computer checked. Remember when I said that, and computer checked, because I don't know if it's tomorrow's episode, not tomorrow, but whatever the next episode is, or maybe the episode after that, we're going to find out that one of these lines was not checked very well. So it pays to keep your engine turned on after you've done your rig analysis. So we open our hymnals to page 254. Follow along for 5 new positions. This is going to be quick because I won't bother doing the exercise of adding the emotional intensity. I'm already intense, right? So let's go back to cow and take a look at where we are. So we're going to try to trap this guy. Well, we are going to escape at this point. Queen C1 looks to be a logical move. And then we get to play and the bishop and continue harassing the queen. And now, let's see, Queen D2 is the way to go here. Queen D2. We have 2 more positions to go. So now we can play the B4, hitting the queen again. And now C1. And you'll see again that T right there. That red T means we transpose. So we just repeated some here. So what are we going to do? Break out of this repetition of positions. We could go ahead and take the draw again at this point if we like the draw. Or we could continue. I'll give you the bonus move for tomorrow. Castles. Notice we didn't even bother yet to go after that bishop on p8. No problem. The bishop will probably fall due to all the tactical threats we have. But now that we're safely castled, we can continue the attack. So that's our information today. You want to go back in and put in the comments of each of those positions why you chose the move you did. And even if it's like, I don't know, I just, I got this position from this book by Larry Kaufman, and he seemed to think that e5 was the way to go, and it really does seem to gum up the works. Well, then type that in. So I promised to drop some wisdom too, along with just the knowledge, right? So some wisdom. And this one comes from Ohio-grown wisdom. So back in the day, probably, more than 25 years ago, I was playing in a chess club here in Columbus, and Calvin Blocker out of Cleveland just happened to be in Columbus for a while, and he was an international master. And if I'm not certain of this, but he may be the only homegrown Ohioan to become an international master. Somebody check me if I'm wrong on that, but a little piece of trivia. But Calvin was amazing. And Calvin was a workhorse. Probably still is, wherever he is, probably back up in Cleveland. But here's the thing. Calvin would get interviewed a lot. And it would often come down to this particular question. And he replied with this. Calvin Blocker in this case, I have lost more games than anyone in Ohio. Let that sit with you for a minute. I have lost more games than anyone in Ohio. And if you're not from Ohio, let me just tell you, it's a big state. Not quite as big as the population in Florida or California, but not far behind. So for somebody to say they've lost more games than anyone in the state of Ohio, that's saying something. And he went on to become an international master. So what he was obviously doing, is it obvious yet? He was learning something from every defeat. I've seen that in Magnus Carlsen. He's so happy to play the game of chess, right? He may not be so happy to lose, but everything is a gift. Every loss is a gift. And so I've done this in other videos too, showing how to use every loss as a gift. Not about Chess Openings Wizard, but still. Mostly, if you go into YouTube and look at the Lee Chess videos, you can bring in your game immediately right into Chess Openings Wizard and analyze it. It basically brings it in, takes you right to your novelty point, compares it to your repertoire, all automatically, right? Really, really cool stuff, especially if you have the professional version. So if you don't have any version, by the way, stick around to the very last frame of today, and you will see an offer for the Express version that's never been made before, and you definitely want to jump on it while it's still here, only while the challenge is going on. So what's going on? Calvin Blocker is learning from every loss and playing lots of chess, obviously doing plenty of preparation, which is what allowed him to become an international master while still living in the humble state of Ohio. So there is your wisdom for the day. Go forth and lose more games than anyone else, but be sure to learn from them. So I won't be back tomorrow, mostly because I can't give you a scheduled time right now because I have a class that keeps moving, another class. So once I get that one nailed down for the next 4 days, then I will know when I can actually go live for the next episodes, but don't expect me here tomorrow. If it is, it's going to be a bonus and a surprise. So go forth, lose more games, keep preparing, and keep posting in the group. The point is to get out there in the challenge and then post on the group, I added my 5. And if you can add it with intensity at the end, bonus points for you. I'll look for you in the next episode. And that is that link I promised you, by the way, bookup.com/5positions-with-cow-express with the hyphens. That will get you an offer on the Express version for Windows or Macintosh that you won't see anywhere else.